now the Operations Committee to meeting almost on time. How about that?
Sure. Get all done doing drag.
Hello.
We're convening the Operations Committee. First subject is the 2010-2016 capital program, phase 3.
Good afternoon, board. Just requesting an increase in our budget for the Burke LTA and also the West Ashley Middle School seismic study.
I can't hear you.
We've given a list of projects that's on the board action item of funding that we would like to use to increase the budgets for the Burke LTA and also the West Ashley Middle School seismic study. And it's in a total of about $1.2 million that we're asking to go toward those projects.
So,
It's sweep up of projects that are completed. So we're not taking money from any other projects. It's projects that are already done.
so we're trying to navigate the computer system, and I'm assuming that he's talking about a 1016 capital program.
Correct.
It's a,
And there's an attachment. Can you open?
and it's $156 million, and your is this?
So the 156 million is the total value of the projects that are listed that money would be moved.
So you're moving money back and forth so that you stay at the same, you're not increasing the
Correct.
overall. I heard increasing, I thought he meant increasing the overall budget. So in other words, you want to decrease Angel Oak by $400,000. You want to decrease Pinehurst by $500,000 in order to increase Low Country Tech at Burke by $900,000.
Yes.
You don't show off your math skills that
Well,
I can't do.
I don't like you taking, but
Right, so we're not adding.
we're not adding, but
Completed
we're
projects.
reducing
Completed
planned work.
projects. Completed projects. Those
There
other
we
projects
go.
we're drawing money from are completed.
So what we're looking at is an approved budget and a proposed budget. It doesn't appear that you're looking at an actual expenditures. Have you finished Pinehurst?
Yes.
And you, okay.
And
So-
you saved 500,000. You didn't spend $500,000 in that project.
And when you finished Pinehurst, did you do everything you planned to do at Pinehurst?
Yes.
Okay. So then what we're looking at is you were able to accomplish everything on these projects for the proposed budget amount.
For the
For the
mo-
approved budget amount.
No.
They saved $500,000.
Because if it took you $142,000 to do $142,000 worth of work, you wouldn't have $100,000 worth of savings. I think the columns are a little confusing. So,
So but it's the approved budget, which is what we approved, and what you're saying, and the way they're doing it is they're saying the proposed budget
which
is actually what was
actually,
spent.
it's not a
True budget.
budget, it's an expenditure.
Correct. It's
Right.
the
Yes.
true cost of the project.
Right,
Right.
okay.
So for future reference, can we?
Yeah, so
change that?
budget means money to spend, expenditures means money
Right,
to
can we
spend.
change that
just
so it
can
doesn't
help.
say
Right.
approved budget in comparison to?
What it looks like to
budget?
us is you're proposing a smaller budget.
Right.
It doesn't look to us like you finished the project when
Right.
you say proposed
So
budget.
if this in the approved budget, if it said completed budget or something of that sort?
So I'm
So
gonna-
in some cases, not in this piece of paper, but in some cases, we request funds be transferred before the project's done.
Right.
We just need to be clear on those things. Then
And maybe we put it in the description
That'd be
Yeah.
perfect.
that the following projects have been completed or something to that effect.
Right.
That would be perfect. So I move to approve this reallocation.
We have a second question. Any? I'm sorry. It was moved and seconded by Kevin. Do we have any other questions? That being said, Mr. Hollenshed,
All right.
Ms. Coates,
Yes.
Mr. Hobbs,
Yes.
Darby,
Yes.
Matt,
Yeah.
Mr. Middleton, yes, and Priscilla.
Yes.
Okay. That moves. Yep.
That
Approved
moves
8-0. Next is the subject B, 2017-2022 capital program.
This is a reallocation from 17 projects
either savings on projects that are indeed completed, one or two are not yet completed, but there are savings on all those. A reallocation is proposed for HVAC at Septima Clark, as shown.
Based on Cindy's earlier question, can you let us know, are there any of these that aren't completed that you feel like you'll still have to spend that money, or you're pretty confident, you're pretty close to being finished?
I think almost all these are done. Lamb's Doors and Hardware, which is the third to last line at the bottom, is not quite done. But I think they're either done or I have enough to finish.
Okay.
Which is why I'm proposing moving this money to
So I gotta ask you, how did North Charleston High School go to 0?
North Charleston High
Number 2
School.
on the list.
Year 1. We just didn't need that. That was for, what do you think, roof design. Year 1. I think the design is done, and let me see if there was money in year 2.
So you didn't spend the 40,000.
Right.
Or you-
Right,
or
right.
Or
You
the
did
work,
not
or
spend
the work
the
wasn't done.
The
Right.
work wasn't done yet.
Right, but 40,000 would have just been for a design. That wouldn't have been for significant work. And I think it was either, perhaps it was already done with FCO money. North Charleston High School.
Yeah.
But I'm glad to know that you're down to the dollar where 5278 West Ashley High School. You said you saved $3.
We try
We'll
to
take it.
track every
Charles,
dollar.
We'll take it. We'll take your $3.
Thank you, Joyce,
Just thought I'd throw that out there.
for tracking every dollar. We had a
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the design was already completed with some other funding, so, because we had 134,000 in year 2, this is year 2 for design, and we intend to do the roof work next year at North Charleston High School.
So when we do see these things that say year 2 of 6, year 2 of 6, year 1 of 6, does that mean you have 6 sets of, let's just take Midland Park, you had 6 sets of $18,000 in your
Midland
budget?
Park.
Midland Park, year 1 of 6, the budget's $18,000. Am I to assume that there were 6 years you were gonna spend $18,000?
No, the program is arranged by years with amounts by school by year. And so in that particular year, we intended to spend some money, and the remainder from that particular task was $18,000.
So will I see a Midland Park painting year 2 of 6 next year?
We've just about finished it. If this is, because we're in year 2, and Midland Park has been painted,
Okay.
so it looks great.
I move to approve the reallocation of funds and forward to the August 27th board agenda.
Second.
Moved
I
by
have one last question, if I may.
Cindy.
Will we be able to get the HVAC done in time for school?
Ms.
Where are-
Jeffrey.
Where are we on that?
Sorry, my phone died. I had to get another one.
For Clark, no, we won't. We're going to do this work in October. We're going to keep the existing gear running until then.
Will it be conditioned enough for the students on
Yes,
both
ma'am.
sides?
Cindy, can you restate your question? Statement again, please?
Question was, would we have the HVAC done in time for the new school year, or is the school conditioned to handle both schools inside the location?
And his answer was?
Yes, and they'll do it in October.
Okay.
But we're upgrading the equipment to have more fresh air capability. It needs to be done.
Okay.
We'll be fine until then.
Okay.
So the motion was made by Kate and
Seconded by me.
Eric.
Yep.
Any more questions? Kevin?
Aye.
Cindy?
Yes.
Stav?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Mike, I vote yes. Priscilla?
Yes.
Okay, that passed 8-0.
It's actually 7-0 because Garrett and
Oh,
Collins.
that's right, 7.
Right.
That's off. Next is subject C, another capital program.
This is a reallocation to take money just from one project to fund another one, from West Ashley Roof to Murray Lassane Parking.
West Ashley roof done.
We've awarded it, ma'am. So there's enough there to do what we need to do. And we're trying to add a little bit of scope if we can within the budget.
When is the deadline to have that completed?
The roof, sir?
Yeah.
Mr. Runyon's okay with us completing through Christmas, so it'll be done this fall.
Okay.
We didn't get any bids the first time, so we had to put it back in.
Okay.
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, moved by Cindy, seconded by Kate. Any more questions? Kevin?
Aye.
Cindy?
Yes.
Stav?
Yes.
Kate?
Yep.
Eric?
Yes.
I vote yes. Priscilla?
Yes.
That passed 7-0.
That was C, right?
That was C.
Now we're on,
D.
yeah, that was C. Now we're on D, fixed cost of ownership.
Yes, sir, good afternoon. So my team and I have been working on a printer policy to replace classroom printers and network printers. So what we've been able to do is to free up the fixed cost budget that we had set aside and totally fund the project using the Phase 4 sales tax program. So we're asking to reallocate the board-approved $580,000 in total to Project 6022, which would be for the classroom modernization, providing USB charging cards for our one-to-one devices in the classroom.
Printers are done, is what you're saying?
We're going to be using the Phase 4.
Ones that sales tax.
Yes, ma'am.
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, moved by Cindy, seconded by Kate. Any questions? Kevin?
Aye.
Cindy?
Yes.
Stav?
Yes.
Kate?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Priscilla?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next is subject E, capital projects report. All right, Ms. Castillo.
I'd like to present the June capital projects report. I think on the agenda it says May, but that is June. The 17 to 22 capital building program, phase 4. The May sales tax collections were $124,000 above the 2% projection in our model. Expenditures for that program were $15 million. The expenditures for phase 3, the 2010-2016 program, were $349,000 for the month. And our fixed cost of ownership fiscal year 19 is underway.
Looking at the 10-16, because I'm looking for when we're gonna be able to roll out of that. Can we speak to some of the Wave 6 projects and 7 projects that are not completed?
So the projects that are not completed in phase 3 would be Stono Park and the bus lot, the Azalea bus lot and the District 3 bus lot.
Okay, can we, that's not what I'm reading on this document. It has other projects. Garrett Academy is not finished. West Ashley Middle School, Dunston's 6 more months out. So can we look at this and clean this up and give us an idea if these things are in fact done?
All right, so where are you?
I'm on 10-16. I'm on the first page of the graph. And what you do is you go over there and look over there to the right to see if it says complete. And if it doesn't, you look to one column to the left to see how much money they've expended to completion.
Okay, so what were you saying wasn't?
Can we talk about, are these projects completed?
Like, say one of them again, so I know where you're looking.
Garrett,
Garrett, oh, I see. Okay.
Which waves?
Wave 6.
6 and
Wave
7.
6.
So it's supposed to be complete.
Right,
and-
see, if you look at Wave 5, Angel Oak is not done and not scheduled to be done until February of 18. Low Country Tech said it was going to be done in December of 17, but I don't think we've expended all the funds, so I'm just asking to line up so we can tell
So-
what's been done.
You want to go through those or you want to? Go ahead.
So
I'll
for
piggyback.
the Burke LTA, that's one of the ones we just asked for a change in their budget. So again, we're doing the front entrance over at Burke, so that one's still open. The other one is Angel Oak. We are done as of next week. We will be completed with that project. We only have
Perfect.
probably 1% left on that. And then the other ones for the, as you know, the District 3 bus lot, we haven't even.
Yeah, I know
started.
those. Let's go in Wave 6.
Okay,
Okay.
Wave 6. I believe those are mostly the seismic studies.
West Ashley Middle School, Dunston Elementary School, and Garrett Academy.
Dunston in phase 3, we had the design for Dunston, so we should be sweeping that up, those funds. The Garrett Academy, we had a seismic study done on that project.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
All right, and I would like to point out that the report is dated 30th of June, so we're 2 months in
There you
arrears
go.
from actual as
Okay.
well.
Thank you.
June
That makes sense.
Does that also mean that on the revised budget of Wave 6, the city is referring that the seismic study for Garrett was $142,000?
The initial budget for Garrett,
125.
I mean, was it just a
No,
seismic
no.
study? Okay.
Yeah.
the initial budget for Garrett was to design a replacement project that was never added to the Phase 4 program. So we never added the follow-on construction, so it has not been designed.
Right, and these were the projects approved prior to 2010.
Okay. Any other questions? Who made that motion?
It's information.
It's
item.
informational.
Okay. Yes, it is, sure. All right, any other questions? Okay, next is subject area security door pilot.
Correct. So I was asked by the committee chair to provide an update on our ballistic door demonstration project. In your board superintendent update on Friday, you'll have a document that includes everything that I'm saying right now. So if you want to go back and read the information that I'm passing along, it's actually in the superintendent's document
Mr.
from.
Barrowe, if I may, there's members in the audience that came just to hear this presentation. Can y'all hear clearly?
Okay, so if somebody came specifically for that presentation, do you want to either, Jeff, do we have,
Come by
that's
the
not Mike.
Sit next to
Yeah,
sit next to you.
yeah, we'll just turn around.
Yeah, there we go. That way I'll be speaking
Project.
out.
All right, so let me go back real quick. So the committee chair asked for a presentation on our door demonstration project. I did provide a written update in the superintendent's report on Friday, so anything I'm passing along now, you should be able to pull up off of the email from last week. To recap how we got where we are right now, we provided a board update on the 30th of May and on 28th of June. On the 30th of May, we indicated that we were identifying the needs within a door that would be required if we moved ahead with a project. That would include the type of window in that door and the locations that we would put doors in. At the end of June, we provided an update that we had drafted, beginning to draft an MOU with a firm, R2P Innovations, that had the ability to provide level 8 ballistic protection doors, and then we would want them to meet all of the existing ADA requirements, fire code requirements, and that they would be interior doors. On the 25th of July, a mock-up was completed at one of our schools with one door. After the mock-up, the original door was replaced. Subsequent to that time frame, we have completed a memorandum of understanding for 3 doors only, not 3 schools worth of doors, but 3 doors only in 3 different schools. That MOU, again, was provided to the board last Friday, and I'll point out a couple of the key points in that MOU. Number one, that the firm R2P provides and installs the doors at their expense. They still own the doors. We do not own the doors. The locations that were chosen do not require a fire rating, so we do not have to have UL-rated doors for a fire rating at this time. And each of the rooms that we've identified of the 3 has a second means of egress. So if the locking mechanism fails, is in place, we have the ability to get people out of the room with another door to that room. The names of the schools and the locations within those schools are kept secure, similar to our camera systems in schools. We don't tout to anybody where we install our cameras. We don't tell people which cameras are working and which ones are broken, and we want to treat these doors in the same manner. They should look and feel just like a normal door, but we want to hold fast with our security procedures with that. Again, I mentioned that this demonstration project is not a donation. At the end of the pilot program, we would expect that the firm will take the doors unless we make some alternative arrangements to keep those doors in place. Right now, we're establishing a schedule with the firm to install those doors. We're hoping at this point to have the 3 installed before the school year starts, but that's being worked out right now. Subject to your questions, that covers the information I had for you, and I'm certainly again willing to answer any questions that you might have on that.
Anybody have any questions?
What are you trying to accomplish by placing 3 doors in the school? I mean, what's the result, conclusion of this?
The results are we want to make sure that we have the ability to, down the road, if you ask us whether or not these doors are operable, whether they're easy to maintain, whether they continue to meet and hold the push requirement for those doors, we would have that as an option to present to you for future board action, just like any of our other security actions, whether it's SROs in schools, cameras. We would have this as a menu option to present to you all to improve the security in our schools.
Does the door weigh more than a regular steel door, and what's the difference in weight?
Right now, the door weighs approximately 280 pounds. As it stands right now.
280 pounds?
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
go ahead.
Good news is they get to push it open and not pick it up, so.
Correct. So again, during the mock-up, we identified that the project was practical. We did use a pressure device on the door to see that it was suitable and potential for use. And the door was interesting enough, the door was at the same pressure as the door we had in place before the door was switched out. So our existing door took the same amount of pressure to open that this door did.
Is that something that you would allow the present board members to witness to see if this is true?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
My other question is, are there any other companies that does this particular design other than the company that's presenting the door?
So we're not aware of any company that makes the exact same door with the proprietary materials that they're using within it, but we have reached out to other firms, one firm in particular that provides most of our doors now. They do provide a bullet-rated door. Mr. Cromps has gone to them with the requirements within the memorandum of agreement to see if they would be interested in participating in a similar project.
Okay. You don't know the cost comparison between the two?
No.
I'm interested in this, but I think I'm interested in this particular fashion. I like to see most people don't know, and some people do know, that the sheriff department is the chief law enforcement of Charleston County. That if any disaster, anything goes on in this county, it's the sheriff department, if they choose to be the ones to take over an emergency situation, as you know, during Hurricane Hugo and other tragedies. They're the ones actually the governor relies on to make sure plans are implemented out. I would like to see our security head work along with the sheriff department to evaluate our buildings. So basically look and see and give their spin on what we need to have improved, what we need to look at for our safety for our kids. You know, children are the most precious thing in the world to us. I think the board did a great move several months ago to increase the school resource officers in Charleston County, which was a great move there. I think we can never stop improving security as it goes to the children. But as these doors go, that's why I want the sheriff department to look at it and to be involved. I think if we were to able to use any kind of bulletproof door or anything like that, I would like to have it be looked at the entry points and exit points of the school. Why there? Because we have to go back and do some research. You know, most incidents that transpire now of shootings can happen outside, and then the intruder then penetrates the school. We need the experts to actually weigh in on this and to come in, and we don't make, again, like I always say, a knee-jerk decision. I think these doors will probably be good and a system be put in place in the entry points. The entry points and the exit points. Then we need to have them look at our windows. Are our windows secure? Will they take the hit of a bullet? Will they not take the hit of a bullet? We need to look at simple things like that and maybe come out with a long-range plan of securing our schools, but not necessarily going to deal with everything in the classroom. There, I think Mr. He's not here, is he? Our security specialist.
Ironically, he's doing the SRO conference right now. So he's got all the SROs together.
I did a little, well, he's not here, but I did a little studying a little while back, working on a paper. And then, you know, the thing that they talked about in Florida when they dealt with the shooting there was that they came back and they did these retired and off-duty officers coming in and securing the schools. That's one thing, but they talked about breaking points. And breaking points is, that's why I talk about we need to secure the exit and entry points, exit and entry points of the school. And when you're doing that, an intruder gets, like say, into corridor A of a school, and to minimize the threat level in the school, it will secure that person in corridor A. So the rest of the children, the rest of the teachers and staff can be able to react and basically seek safety. I'm not the authority on that, just did a little research on it, but I'm saying that's why we want to have our top law enforcement agency involved, leading that charge to talk about what we need to do to improve school safety. That's my main point there.
So if I may, didn't the board approve the hiring of a position of a person specifically to study school safety, our buildings, and coordinate with municipalities? So we've already done that
So
in this year's budget.
That's a very valid point, and I was going to piggyback on what Mr. Hollenshed said, because they were all key points. And with all the examples you gave, it
That's
demonstrates
what our
that it's a layered defense and a multiple prong defense that are multiple prong items that we need to focus on, not just one single item. To Mrs. Coates' point, yes, we did we are hiring an emergency planner, thanks to the board's decision to approve that position. They will help with individual facility emergency plans and help do exactly what you opened with, Mr. Hollenshed, and that's to look at the individual defenses of an individual school. To the point of involving the county and other municipalities, last month, Michael, with the help of his partners with the 3 communities and the county, had their first quarterly meeting, where they'll talk about items just like that. And so they had their first one in July. I expect that to be done on a quarterly basis, where they help us put together those long-term items that we would want to present back to the board for funding with a prioritized way to do that over the course of budget years.
So are we all comfortable with the door prototype study that's going on right now?
With the pilot program?
The pilot, yes.
So I think it's
Kevin?
important too, Jeff, at the end, to also include that there will be a study and the board will be able to get some type of result as to how these doors operate. There will be a full assessment of the usability of the doors with
Right.
these identified schools. You want to talk about that?
No, that's another great point that I didn't bring up, is that Mr. Kromps and his facilities team will work that into their review of those doors, the condition that they're in, that they're still closing properly, that they've got the right pressure, that they're not sagging, that everything's in working order, as part of his routine review of the schools. The plan is to do that on a monthly basis, dovetail with the work that's going on in the schools anyways. And we'll document those results.
So there's been a lot of discussion among individual board members and conversations. Is everybody comfortable now, or is there any other questions that anybody has so they can get comfortable with this pilot program?
So I think it sounds like everybody, unless somebody says otherwise, we're comfortable with the pilot program.
I mean, I think for me, the reason why I wanted Jeff to come was because I personally felt in the dark on how we got to this place. I think several months ago, I think Mike Reidenbach, along with Jeff, came to us and gave us some ideas from a budgetary standpoint what it would cost to do metal detectors at our schools on a larger scale. I think they brought, like you said, it's not a one thing, it's a multi-layer kind of approach to school security. I think we took one step with that when we increased SRO presence. I think that was a good step on our part. I think the presentation of the gravity of metal detectors at our schools gave, I think, me an opportunity to kind of look at it from a granular view to see exactly what more steps we can do. Like Kevin said, it doesn't necessarily want to be, I think, a knee-jerk reaction, but it ought to be very practical about the level, if we're able to provide, or what type of security we're able to provide our students and our staff who are in our schools protecting our students. And so I wanted Jeff to come and just kind of bring us all forward. I can't say all, I can say me personally, was kind of selfish on my part, to bring us up to a point to where we are now. And so, with that being said, is there anybody else that we need?
No, I'm fine. I just think that, and I agree with you, Michael. I just think from when this person is employed with us, that they need to come back with a working document, a working relationship with the sheriff department. Again, I've been in law enforcement a long time. I know how they think. The tail can't wag the dog gotta wag the tail. They are the person that does this every day. They are the person when the tragedy comes in play who will respond. They are the ones that will coordinate with Mount Pleasant and everybody else to handle that threat situation. I really think we need to let them be involved in this process.
Well, Joe,
Yeah.
I was gonna say, we have schools that are under the jurisdiction of the county.
No. That's not what I'm saying.
Eric?
Yeah. So I was just going to add, you know, safety is a part of our realm. We do have a safety department, but let me just say that, you know, it's almost like the hospital. Learn of a new cutting edge technology or instrument out there that can potentially save a life quicker than the normal technology now that's on the market. So the hospital's not going to say, well, we're not going to test this. We're just going to wait until someone get on the operating table and say we need it. So we're not going to do that. We're going to actually test the actual model to make sure that that we can save a life at that given point in time, not wait until it hits us. So I said all that to say that we have to stay at the forefront. It's the same thing with education. We have to make sure that we are using the best tool possible in reaching all of our different students. So safety is the same thing. We ever don't want a situation that happened in the other states to come to Charleston, and the minute it happened, we say, okay, now we got to get ahead of the curveball. So we have to be thinking beyond as we do with capital programs. We're thinking in 2022 now and about 2025. So we have to stay ahead of what in the world in which we live and our surroundings. We can't be naive. We can't keep our head in the sand thinking, well, it's never going to come to Charleston, and and I pray that it doesn't. But we have to know where we stand as far as that safety measure. We have to know where our school exists and how it exists. We may have to get to the point to where we start to look at how we begin to build our schools and the components that we're building within our schools. So even the budget of capital program may increase because of safety measures that exist currently now. We may have to start building our schools with bulletproof glass. I don't know. But if that is the case, it's going to drive the numbers up. What I'm saying is that we can't just say right now, well, this is where we are, we're doing just fine. Well, that's not status quo, because if you come to MUSC, we don't say we stay in the status quo. We're saying we're reaching the latest technology to save lives. Same way in the schools. That's all I want to say.
Stop.
All right, so my question was, so we were just talking a second ago about the person that we want to hire that's going to kind of quarterback this. We haven't hired that person yet.
Correct.
Okay. And so, and I'm glad we're trying a lot of different things, because there's not going to be a silver bullet here. There's no one thing that you can do. And I think the airlines just realized that last week when the fellow that was their employee decided to go take the plane. They weren't expecting that.
That's a good point.
So you're always looking for the boogeyman outside, and it turns out it's something. So when we start looking at hiring this person, I think it needs to, and I like Kevin's idea, working with our local municipalities in our county, and Eric's idea, and the others with the idea of what we can do inside to strengthen our facility. But I think I've said this before, but I do think we need to also work with mental health, because I think that's going to be a big component of this. I don't think we can ignore that. There's only so much we can do to protect through the physical side of it, but I think we also, I think a big component of this is the mental health aspect, and whoever we hire, and I'm not sure who they work with on that, but that is going to be something that I don't think we should put our head in the sand on that part.
Okay.
I was just going to say, I hear what Kevin's saying, but it's also, when I hear Jeff talking, it sounds like we're already working with area municipal police forces and the sheriff's department, and that Ron and his team are doing assessments all throughout the year. So if we have an issue, you're going to know about it and we're going to be fixing it. So I don't know that we specifically need to be partnering with the sheriff's department to be looking at every school because we're already doing that, aren't we?
But you want their involvement. You don't want to be the one to do it on your own and disaster happens and somebody comes back and asks you, have you worked with your local agency?
Right, but that's my question. Aren't we already working with?
You might
our
be
local
saying the
agency?
same thing.
We
though, I
are.
think.
North Charleston is involved with protecting their schools. Mount Pleasant is
Pleasant, right.
involved with protecting their schools. Charleston is involved with protecting their schools. We are working with them.
Well, I'll even go a step further to say, Jeff, and you speak to it, in this process with the pilot doors, have the sheriff department or has anyone been involved in this process?
Mr. Reinbach has informed all of the municipalities along the way of what we're doing.
So they have been.
They haven't reviewed every single detail of the project, and we will make sure they do, but they have been informed of the direction.
Right.
and what we're doing.
Right. Right.
Any other questions? I know we have Councilman Teddy Pryor here. If you'd like to give a brief comment, I know you're here. Is it okay?
I think
Is that here? Okay.
Good.
Okay.
Thank you for that, by the way, sir.
We appreciate that, Teddy.
Yeah, give us some notice.
Yeah.
We said this at the last meeting.
Yeah, I got you. I got you. Duly noted, duly noted.
What did he do?
He said that we.
Give him a notice next time.
We went up on the SRO budget without basically letting them know what we're doing. So,
Okay.
all right, well, Jeff, if anybody has any more questions for Jeff, I'm sure Jeff will make sure he gets us any information as things change or alter. I'm sure that information will come back to us. And with that being done, we have items going to potential consent. And that would be,
I move that items A, B, C, and D, 5 A, B, C, and D, be potential consent items.
Second.
Julie, got that? All right. Okay. Do we need to vote?
Yeah, and then we vote, yeah, we do.
Kevin? We're voting on consent items.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw you nod your head, but you didn't say anything.
Didn't we all vote yes?
Cindy?
Yeah.
Stop.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Yes. Priscilla Solon?
yes, she is.
So,
Yes.
okay. And that passes 6-0. And we are adjourned.